What if 3,000 euros a month wasn't a limitation, but a ticket? A ticket to a quieter life, a simpler rhythm, a table for two under the stars with wine that doesn't cost a day's wages, a view you don't have to leave behind after 7 nights, a neighborhood where time slows down and stress doesn't feel like oxygen. If you're dreaming of moving abroad or starting a new chapter as a couple, you might be surprised to learn how far your budget can still go, even in 2025, if you know where to look. In this video, we're taking you on an emotional and practical journey across 10 of the most affordable places to live in Europe, where 3,000 euros a month can still unlock a good life for two. Rent, food, fun, and freedom included. And we're not talking about living in a shoebox, eating instant noodles, or hiding from heating bills. We're talking real apartments, fresh bread in the morning, healthcare that won't bankrupt you, and cultures that welcome newcomers with curiosity. Not just tourist dollars. But before we dive into the list, let's get something straight. This isn't a fantasy video. The world is changing. Prices are rising. And 3,000 euros a month in 2025 doesn't stretch as far as it used to, especially in Western capitals. If you're dreaming of Paris, Zurich, or Dublin, this list isn't for you. But if you're open to slower cities, charming inland towns, and beautiful coastal regions a bit off the beaten path, places where life is still measured in seasons and not in stock prices, then you might just find your next home here. So, whether you're remote working millennials, digital nomads, early retirees, or just two people in love with the idea of something different, this video is your map. Watch till the end, because city number 1 might just surprise you. It's not what you think, and it may just be the fresh start you didn't know you needed. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone you'd move abroad with. And let us know in the comments, which city would you choose? Let's begin. 1. Turkey. The call to prayer echoes softly over the rooftops, drifting through the warm morning air like a ribbon of song. The sun is just rising over the horizon, glowing orange as it spills across the Bosphorus, the mountains, the valleys, the Aegean coast. You open your window, and the scent of grilled bread and roasted sesame seeds greets you like an old friend. Somewhere nearby, a cat stretches in a sunbeam. A merchant sweeps his storefront. You hear laughter, always laughter, and you realize this isn't a vacation. This is your home, and it costs less than you ever imagined. Welcome to Turkey, not the version in glossy magazines, not the luxury hotels of Istanbul or the blue-tiled tourist traps of Sultanahmet. No, this is the Turkey you find in the quieter corners, in towns along the Aegean, in sun-baked villages of the southwest, in the high plateaus of central Anatolia. Places like Fethi, Alanya, Mersin, Eskişehir, or Ayvalık, where the beauty of the country remains. Raw, generous, and remarkably affordable. Here, your 3,000 euros a month isn't just enough. It's abundant. Rent? You can live in a furnished apartment with a sea view. Yes, a sea view, for 350 euros to 500 euros per month. Inland, even less. Utilities? Modest. Groceries? A colorful, vibrant explosion of flavor and affordability. Walk into a weekly Pazer, an open-air market, and you're surrounded by pyramids of tomatoes, eggplants, apricots, figs, olives, cheese, and herbs. The colors, the smells, the prices. You fill your bag with the freshest ingredients and rarely spend more than 20 euros. And when you dine out, you eat like a sultan. Grilled meats on skewers, bowls of yogurt thick enough to cut, flatbread stuffed with spinach and cheese, tiny glasses of black tea served strong, sweet, and endless. A full meal for two in a family-run locanta, under 15 euros. Add dessert and coffee, and you're still not breaking 20 euros. But this country isn't just about affordability. It's about depth. Turkey is a bridge between continents, a meeting point of East and West, modern and ancient. There's a gravity to its history, a richness that settles into your bones as you walk the same streets that once carried Roman emperors, Ottoman sultans, and Silk Road caravans. The land speaks if you listen. Work-wise, Turkey is increasingly attractive for remote workers. Fast internet, affordable SIM cards, cozy cafes with Wi-Fi, all make it ideal for digital nomads and freelancers. English is widely spoken in coastal towns, university cities, and expat hubs. But even when it isn't, the warmth of the people fills in the gaps. Smiles, gestures, the universal language of hospitality. And then there's the weather. Along the coast, it's a dream. Mild winters, breezy springs, sun-drenched summers, and autumns that feel like golden lullabies. Inland, you'll get 4 seasons: snowy winters, crisp springs, and hot, dry summers. Wherever you are, the skies seem to stretch a little wider. The light falls a little softer. Safety? Turkey is one of the most misunderstood countries in Europe. While headlines scream, everyday life here is stunningly peaceful. Petty crime is rare. Communities are tight-knit. Neighborhoods look out for one another. You're welcomed not with suspicion, but with tea. Always tea. And often with questions. Where are you from? Why did you come? Do you like it here? These are not polite formalities. These are genuine, open-hearted questions from people who truly want you to feel at home. And home is exactly what Turkey becomes. Fast. Maybe it's the way neighbors leave fresh bread at your door, or how the corner grocer learns your name by the 3rd visit. Maybe it's the quiet kindness of a stranger walking you across the street to show you the right bus. Maybe it's the sea, the olives, the sunsets that make you stop mid-step, or the mountains that rise behind villages like protective arms. Nature in Turkey is epic, truly epic. Snow kapet peaks. Secret beaches, lush valleys, ancient forests, caves that hold stories, canyons that hum with wind, hot springs you can soak in for less than the cost of a drink in Paris. The country was made to be explored by foot, by car, by instinct. And then there's the soul of it all, the things you can't quite describe. The feeling when a 90-year-old grandmother offers you stuffed grape leaves with a wink. When a little boy sells you sunflower seeds and refuses payment. When you hear the Eason call at sunset and suddenly feel anchored, even if you don't know why. It's a country that welcomes without demanding. A country that lets you be. Turkey is the kind of place where people come for a season and stay for a life. It doesn't ask for perfection. It offers rhythm, flavor, fire, and quiet. It offers a life where 3,000 euros a month is not just enough, it's liberating. A life where you don't have to rush, or prove, or spend to feel worthy. Here you live, deeply, daily, gratefully. And when you look out over the hills, or the market, or the sea, you realize something simple and extraordinary. You're not just surviving anymore. You've finally arrived. 2. Albania, anywhere in the country. The day begins with silence. Then comes the sound of waves, not crashing, but whispering against a pebbled shore. A rooster calls from a hillside. A fisherman untangles his net at the water's edge, and a shopkeeper sweeps the stone path outside his door. The smell of strong coffee and baked byrek fills the air. The mountains watch in the distance, ancient and unmoved. And you're not just passing through. You live here now, and life has never felt this raw, this real, or this free. This is Albania, a country so misunderstood, so overlooked, and yet so powerfully alive. From the turquoise beaches of the Ionian coast to the medieval towns of the north, Albania offers a lifestyle many spend their whole lives chasing and never find. Here, with 3,000 euros a month, you don't just get by. You thrive. Let's talk numbers, though in Albania, numbers feel like they barely apply. In seaside towns like Vlora, Sarand, or Durrës, you can rent a modern one-bedroom apartment with a sea view for just 300 euros to 400 euros. Inland, in cities like Berat, Shkodër, or even the capital Tirana, prices dip even further. 250 euro might get you a furnished apartment with a balcony overlooking mountains, rivers, or old Ottoman rooftops. Utilities? Modest. Internet? Reliable. Lifestyle? Surprisingly modern, yet untouched by the inflated prices that dominate the rest of Europe. Groceries come from markets where farmers sell what they grew that morning. Tomatoes that smell like the sun. Feta made 2 valleys away. Olives, figs, pomegranates, and herbs that cost less than a coffee in London. For 100 to 150 euros, 2 people can eat like royalty every month and eat well. And when you eat out, the story gets better. Grilled meats, fresh seafood, rustic soups, and endless salads, often under 10 euros for 2, with wine, locally made, generously poured. But Albania isn't just affordable. It's awakening. Once closed to the world for decades, the country is now opening, slowly, carefully, proudly. And with that opening comes an energy you can feel. Young people full of optimism, old traditions being revived, beaches still undiscovered, villages where time stopped in the most beautiful way, and a people, resilient, warm, fiercely generous, who invite you in without performance or pretense. The job market isn't expansive, but that's not why people come. This is a haven for remote workers, creatives, retirees, and wanderers who want more than noise and burnout. In Tirana, the capital, cafes double as offices, and conversations flow freely in English, Italian, German, or French. In smaller towns, the pace slows, but the welcome remains. The weather is kind here. Along the coast, summers are sun-drenched and dry, with deep blue skies and warm seas. Winters are mild, especially in the south. In the north, snow covers ancient stone towns and mountain trails, beautiful, quiet, and deeply photogenic. Spring and autumn are the real treasures. Comfortable, colorful, fragrant. The kind of seasons that make you pause and look around. Safety? Albania might surprise you. Crime is low, especially toward foreigners. The community is protective, respectful, and closely knit. There's a deep-rooted sense of honor and hospitality. It's not uncommon to be invited into someone's home for coffee after one conversation, or to be offered food when you least expect it. That generosity isn't a show. It's the culture. And then there's the nature, wild, untouched, and soul-stirring. The Albanian Alps in the north offer trails through dramatic valleys, crystal-clear rivers, and stone villages nestled into hillsides. The Ionian coast rivals the Greek islands. With beaches you can walk for miles without seeing a soul. The Lagra Pass, the Blue Eye Spring, Butrint National Park, and Lake Komen. These are not tourist gimmicks. They're sacred, living landscapes. Culture lives in every corner. In music played on mandolins under vine-covered terraces. In the Kalesh hats worn at weddings. In the painted mosques, the hilltop castles, the traditional ISO polyphonic singing that echoes through the mountains. Albania's history is long, layered, and complex, and its people carry it with both pride and curiosity. You don't need to become someone else to live here, but you may discover parts of yourself that got buried under pressure, noise, and expectation. In Albania, you wake up earlier. You smile more. You spend longer over meals. You walk slower. You talk to strangers. You breathe. And maybe that's the quiet revolution Albania offers. Not a glamorous escape, but a grounding, a return, a reminder that life is not supposed to cost your peace. It's supposed to give you more of it. 3,000 euros a month in Albania doesn't just buy you a better life. It buys you time to remember what life even means. 3. Cyprus. Outside main tourist areas like Limassol or Paphos. The light in Cyprus is different. Softer, golden. It doesn't just shine, it wraps itself around you. In the early morning, it spills across whitewashed walls and ancient stone, through olive trees that have stood for centuries, and across the tiled terrace of your home, where 2 chairs wait, always for the first cup of coffee and a moment of stillness. You're not in Limassol. You're not in Paphos. You're somewhere quieter. Maybe it's the village of Takni, with its winding paths and view of the sea in the distance. Maybe it's Lefkara, where lacemakers work under flowering trellises. Maybe it's just a nameless hamlet off a road you'd never find on a tourist map. And yet here you are, living, breathing, home. Life outside the big tourist zones of Cyprus is slower, deeper, and infinitely more affordable. While Limassol may boast high-rises and yachts, It also boasts skyrocketing prices. But head just 20 or 30 minutes inland and everything shifts. The air cools, the prices drop, and the life you thought was only available to the wealthy begins to feel attainable. Rent here is a revelation. A 2-bedroom stone house with a terrace, garden, and mountain view? Around €500 to €600. A cozy modern apartment near the village square? Often under €450. Utilities are modest. Solar panels are common. Water is precious, but managed wisely. The rest of your €3,000 budget goes farther than you'd ever expect. Groceries in Cyprus are fresh, seasonal, and overflowing with Mediterranean flavor. Tomatoes that taste like sunshine. Lemons picked from your neighbor's tree. Local halloumi, olives, pomegranates, and figs, not from the store but from someone's backyard. A farmer's market haul for two might run you €20 to €30. And eating out? Local tavernas serve mezzi feasts, plates and plates of grilled meats, dips, breads, and salads, often for €25 total. With wine, remote work is growing here quietly. The internet is reliable, especially near cities. And if you need to visit Nicosia or Larnaca, you're never more than an hour away. English is spoken widely. After all, this is an island that has known empires, colonizers, and trade routes. It welcomes the world without losing itself. The weather is kind. Winters are short and mild. Summers are hot, yes, but dry, bearable, and blessed with sea breezes. Spring and autumn are where Cyprus shines. Days spent walking coastal trails. Afternoons under almond trees in bloom. Nights that never require more than a light sweater and a breeze. And safety? Impeccable. This is one of the safest places in Europe. Petty crime is rare. Violent crime is almost unheard of. Doors are left open. Children roam freely. There's a trust in the air, a feeling that the community will catch you if you fall. But it's the rhythm of life here that changes you. The way no one rushes. The way time bends around meals and conversations. The way strangers become friends over coffee and carob cake. You learn the names of your grocer, your baker, your neighbor's goat. You learn how to do nothing and love it. Culture is everywhere, from ancient ruins to Orthodox Easter feasts that fill the streets with music and lamb roasting on open flames. The island has stories layered like its archaeological sites: Greek, Roman, Byzantine, Venetian, Ottoman, British. You don't just live in a house. You live on a stage where history performs quietly every day. Nature here is diverse and accessible. The Troodos Mountains offer snow in winter. The Akamas Peninsula gives you untouched beaches, hills covered in vines, gorges filled with waterfalls, and coastlines that look painted. The outdoors is not a weekend escape. It's your front yard. People who move here for the prices stay for the peace. They stay for the sunrises that stretch across the Mediterranean, for the bells that ring through olive groves, for the warmth that comes not just from the climate, but from the people, from the way your neighbor brings figs in the summer, from the way your landlord invites you to his daughter's wedding, from the way you suddenly feel, for the first time in a long time, like you belong. In Cyprus, €3,000 a month doesn't just give you comfort. It gives you time, space, room to live beautifully, not just efficiently. It gives you quiet mornings, honest food, and the kind of sun that heals more than skin. You don't need much here, just an open heart, a little patience, and the courage to trade busy for beautiful. 4. Czech Republic, outside Prague. It's morning in a town that most tourists will never find. The streets are damp from an overnight drizzle, the cobblestones slick and glistening under soft light. A cyclist rides past with a loaf of bread under one arm. The church bells chime, not for spectacle, just because they always have. You wrap your scarf a little tighter, step outside your apartment, and breathe in the crisp air. This is not Prague, and that's exactly why you're here. In the Czech Republic, Prague has long stolen the spotlight. But if you step just outside its orbit, to cities like Olomouc, Český Budějovice, Brno, or even Hrad Králové, you'll find something richer, more livable, more affordable. These regional gems offer all the beauty of Central Europe: Baroque architecture, hearty food, deep-rooted culture, without the crowds, the chaos, or the costs. Life here is clean, calm, and quietly elegant. The kind of place where art isn't just in galleries, it's in fountains, facades, and park sculptures you pass on a daily walk. You live in an apartment that's likely older than your grandparents', with tall windows and wooden floors that creak just enough to remind you this place has seen history. And a rent? Often less than 500 euros, even in prime neighborhoods. Further out, it dips to 350 euros or less. Utilities? Modest. Internet? Fussed. The rest of your 3,000 euro monthly budget? Yours to savor. Groceries are affordable, especially at local markets where produce is fresh, seasonal, and often organic without the label. A week's worth of food might cost you 30 to 40 euros for two. Bakeries serve pastries warm from the oven for under €1. You don't need to think about every cent. You just live comfortably, even freely. Eating out is another quiet delight. A pub lunch with dumplings, roast pork, cabbage, and a cold beer might cost €5 or €6. Fancy dinner for two? Add candles and check wine, and you'll struggle to spend €30 total. The culture here isn't built around splurging. It's built around presence. Long meals. Conversation. Simplicity done well. Job-wise, these towns aren't booming tech hubs, though Brno comes close, but they don't need to be. If you work online, you're set. If you teach English, demand is steady. If you're retired or semi-retired, this might be paradise. There's enough happening to keep life interesting, but never enough to overwhelm. The weather brings contrast. Spring and summer are lush. Parks bloom, rivers run high, and evenings stretch long into the golden hour. Autumn sets everything ablaze with color. And winter, though cold, wraps the towns in a kind of fairy tale hush. Snow on rooftops, steam from chimneys, lights strung across historic squares. You bundle up, walk through the frost, and feel strangely warm. Czech towns are famously safe. Walk at night without fear. Sit in a cafe alone and leave your coat on the chair while you order. Children play unsupervised. Grandparents stroll after dark. The calm isn't forced. It's built into the culture. There's a deep sense of order, of things working as they should. But it's the character of these towns that makes you stay. Olomouc is full of fountains and music, home to a university and a quiet pride. Český Budějovice is the birthplace of Budweiser beer, with wide squares and hidden courtyards. Brno, the second largest city, pulses with youth, innovation, and underground art. Kutná Hora, with its Gothic cathedral and bone chapel, feels like something from another world. Every city, every town has a rhythm of its own, gentle, unhurried, welcoming. Nature is never far. Forests ring the edges of cities. Lakes glimmer in the distance. Public transport is punctual and affordable. Buses, trams, trains. You can hop on a train and be hiking in under an hour or sipping coffee by a castle. It's a country built for day trips and quiet weekends. A place where the outdoors are not an escape, but part of life. There's also something intangible here. A mood, a tone, a kind of thoughtful stillness that settles into your bones. The Czech people are reserved, yes, but not cold. Once they warm to you, they're loyal, curious, and often unexpectedly funny. They value privacy, nature, quiet intellect, and good beer. And once you settle in, you'll realize how much those things begin to matter to you, too. In the Czech Republic, beyond Prague, you don't just find affordability. You find balance. You find dignity. You find days that begin slowly, end quietly, and feel full in between. With 3,000 euros a month, you don't have to stretch. You can save, explore, indulge a little. You'll have space, time, peace, and maybe, for the first time in years, you'll stop needing a vacation because you already live exactly where you're meant to be. 5. Bulgaria, Plovdiv, Veliko Tarnovo, or Burgas. The morning begins with quiet, not silence, but the gentle sounds of life beginning. Church bells echo down winding stone streets. A cat stretches across a sun-drenched window ledge. Somewhere below, the scent of roasted peppers and fresh banitsa wafts from a tiny kitchen. You lean out your balcony, and the city stretches before you. Tiled rooftops, Roman ruins, cobbled hills, and the glint of the Black Sea far in the distance. This is Bulgaria, and it might be the best-kept secret in all of Europe. In cities like Plovdiv, Veliko Tarnovo, and Burgas, you don't just visit history, you live inside it. These aren't theme parks or frozen-in-time villages. These are real, beating towns filled with students, artists, retirees, and generations of families who've made their lives here for centuries. And for someone arriving now, someone with €3,000 a month, a thirst for adventure, and a desire to live with depth, Bulgaria opens its arms wide. Let's begin in Plovdiv, one of Europe's oldest cities. Older than Athens, older than Rome. Built across 7 hills, it's a city where Roman amphitheaters sit beside trendy wine bars, where street art covers ancient walls and live jazz spills out of cafes at night. It's vibrant, yet grounded, youthful, yet wise. Veliko Tarnovo is different, perched along a winding river, with terraced homes that seem to defy gravity. Once the capital of the Second Bulgarian Empire, its fortress still stands proud, watching over red rooftops and medieval alleyways. It's quieter, poetic, a town for writers, daydreamers, and those who want to disappear into beauty without being alone. Burgas, on the other hand, offers something entirely unique: the sea. Tucked along the Bulgarian coast, it's modern yet affordable, breezy but grounded. The Black Sea glimmers at sunrise, and the beaches stretch wide and open. You can live just minutes from the water, surrounded by parks, markets, and palm-lined promenades. Across all these towns, rent remains astonishingly low. A one-bedroom apartment in the heart of the old town in Plovdiv might cost you €350. In Veliko Tarnovo, that drops even further, maybe €250 for something with a view of the hills. In Burgas, by the beach, expect around €400 to €500. These aren't compromises. They're full apartments, often with balconies, exposed brick, high ceilings, and stories baked into the walls. Groceries here are almost alarmingly affordable. Fresh fruits and vegetables sold at open-air markets. Homemade yogurt thick enough to stand spoon in. Fresh bread delivered every morning. With €150 a month, 2 people can eat healthily, locally, and indulgently. Dining out? You'll find traditional Bulgarian meals, grilled meats, roasted vegetables, cold soups, and rich pastries for under €10 per person, drinks included. And that €3,000 a month? You'll be saving every single month. Work opportunities aren't booming, but Bulgaria is quickly becoming a digital nomad haven. Fast internet, affordable co-working spaces, and an ever-growing network of expats make remote life not only possible, but joyful. English is spoken widely among the young and in service industries, and the locals are curious, warm, and patient, especially when you try to learn a few words of Bulgarian. The seasons here are distinct, and each one brings its own gifts. Spring comes early, with almond blossoms and warm terraces. Summer in Burgas is made for sandals, grilled fish, and lazy walks by the sea. Autumn in Veliko Tarnovo burns gold, red, and orange across the hills. And winter in Plovdiv, crisp, snow-kissed, and deeply cozy, turns the city into a quiet masterpiece. Safety? You feel it. Walk down any street at night, solo or hand in hand, and you feel the calm. Crime is low. Community is strong. Strangers will offer directions without being asked. Neighbors will wave from their windows. Children play freely in parks. The pace of life makes room for trust. But perhaps what makes Bulgaria truly unforgettable is its soul. There's something in the way grandmothers tend to their vines and geraniums, in the way the accordion plays in the background of the family lunch, in the rhythm of the Sunday market, the hush inside ancient churches, and the shared nod between strangers in a cafe. It's not showy, it's not loud, but stays with you. People come here thinking it's a cheap place to stay for a few months. They end up staying for years, falling in love, building lives, writing books, starting families, or simply remembering who they were before everything got so loud and expensive. In Bulgaria, your money stretches. But more importantly, so does your peace of mind, your time, your joy. It's one of the last places in Europe where you can live in a city with Roman ruins, eat by the sea, walk through a fortress at sunset, and still have money left at the end of the month to travel, save, or dream. And maybe that's the greatest luxury of all. 6. Inland Spain. There's a silence to the mornings here. Not empty, but rich. The sun rises over the plains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. You step out into the warmth of the morning, the earthy scent of rosemary and olive trees filling the air. Around you, the countryside stretches out in every direction, dotted with whitewashed villages, rolling hills, and fields of vineyards and wheat. The sound of birds chirping blends with the distant clatter of a horse's hooves on cobblestone streets. This is life in inland Spain, where time seems to slow down, and every day feels like a quiet celebration of nature and culture. Inland Spain is where the true soul of the country lies, far from the crowded beaches and tourist-filled cities. Here, in places like Castilla-La Mancha, Extremadura, and Aragon, you'll find small towns and hidden gems that offer a way of life steeped in history, tradition, and a surprising affordability. These are the places where you can truly embrace the Spanish lifestyle, away from the hustle and bustle, and live comfortably, even with a €3,000 monthly budget. Living in inland Spain, you're not just saving money. You're gaining a richer, fuller life. A one-bedroom apartment in the city center might cost you around €400 to €500 a month. And if you move just a bit further outside the center, you could find places for even less, sometimes as low as €250 to €300. And these aren't cramped spaces. You'll find apartments with character, thick stone walls, wooden beams, and charming balconies that open up to narrow, flower-lined streets. These towns, though small, are full of life and history, making each corner you turn feel like you're stepping into a different time. The cost of living here is refreshingly low, and it's one of the main reasons why people flock to this part of Spain. A full weekly grocery shop for two people might only cost you €40 to €50. And when you eat out, the experience is one of rustic charm, with fresh local ingredients used to prepare simple but satisfying meals. You can enjoy a hearty lunch in a small village restaurant for as little as €15 for two people, including a glass of wine from the local vineyard. Even the larger cities of inland Spain, eating out is affordable and rewarding, with tapas bars offering incredible meals for a fraction of the price you'd pay in Madrid or Barcelona. But it's not just about saving money. Inland Spain offers a lifestyle that's deeply connected to nature and history. The land here tells stories. It's where Cervantes wrote Don Quixote, where Roman ruins the landscape, and where Moorish architecture still stands strong. Each town has its own history, its own traditions, and its own sense of pride in what it has to offer. Whether it's a medieval castle perched on a hill, a 16th century cathedral in the center of town, or a lively local fiesta that feels like the heart of the community, inland Spain is rich in culture and heritage. The job market may not be as robust as in the bigger cities, but for remote workers, creatives, retirees, or anyone with a digital income, inland Spain offers the perfect balance of peaceful surroundings and connectivity. Internet speeds are good in most areas, and co-working spaces are popping up in larger towns and cities, making it a viable option for those who work from home or run online businesses. For those willing to work in agriculture, tourism, or teaching English, there are always opportunities, especially in the larger towns. The weather here is typical of Spain, hot summers and mild winters. In the summer, temperatures can soar to over 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, but the dry heat is tempered by the cooling breeze that sweeps through the region. In the winter, temperatures are cooler but rarely fall below freezing, and the surrounding hillsides take on a blanket of snow, offering a picturesque backdrop to everyday life. The abundance of sunshine means that outdoor activities are always on the agenda, whether it's hiking through the mountains, cycling along country lanes, or simply relaxing on your patio with a glass of wine in hand as the sun sets. Safety in inland Spain is another highlight. These are small towns where everyone knows everyone, and where people leave their doors unlocked, trusting that their neighbors will look out for them. Crime rates are low, and the sense of community is strong. People here take care of each other, which adds to the overall feeling of security and belonging. In terms of culture, inland Spain is the true heart of the country. You'll find an appreciation for tradition that runs deep, with each town hosting festivals, fairs, and cultural events throughout the year. You'll encounter bullfighting, flamenco, and religious processions that date back centuries, all while enjoying the slower pace of life that lets you truly connect with the people around you. The food is simple but full of flavor, with dishes like paella, gazpacho, and hearty stews that showcase the best of Spain's regional cuisine. Local markets are vibrant, with colorful stalls selling everything from fresh seafood to handmade ceramics. And then there's the nature. You're never far from a mountain, a vineyard, or a quiet village square. The landscape here is beautiful and diverse, from rolling hills and olive groves to rugged mountains and fertile valleys. Inland Spain is a place where outdoor enthusiasts can thrive. Whether it's hiking, mountain biking, or exploring the region's natural parks and reserves. In the smaller towns, you'll also find plenty of opportunities for cultural and historical exploration, whether it's visiting Roman ruins, medieval castles, or Moorish palaces that date back to the 10th century. The best part? Inland Spain offers all of this at an incredibly affordable price. With €3,000 a month, you can live like royalty here. You'll have access to a beautiful apartment, delicious food, endless cultural experiences, and the freedom to enjoy life at a pace that suits you. Inland Spain isn't for everyone. It's not about the glitz or glamour. It's about simplicity. It's about life at its most authentic, where every day feels like a celebration of tradition, nature, and community. If you're looking for a place to slow down, recharge, and experience a more meaningful way of living, inland Spain is waiting for you. Sedam, Belgrade and Novi Sad, Serbia. The river moves slowly here. Wide and ancient, it carries the past in its current, centuries of empire, revolution, art, and resilience. You're standing at the edge of the Danube, the sky a pale gold behind the Kalamegdan fortress. People stroll by in no rush. Musicians play for no one and everyone. Somewhere nearby, the smell of grilled meat and strong coffee drifts into the breeze. This is not the Europe you see on postcards. This is Serbia, and somehow, it already feels like home. Belgrade and Novi Sad are cities with stories etched into their walls. They are bold and unfiltered, cities that don't try to impress you. They just exist unapologetically. Belgrade, the capital, is raw, electric, and alive at all hours. Novi Sad, its quieter cousin just an hour away, is laid back, poetic, and touched by wine country charm. Together, they offer an incredible balance for couples seeking a vibrant life at an affordable price, even in 2025. With €3,000 a month, you live well here. Not just survive, live. Rent for a well-located one-bedroom apartment in Belgrade, around €500 to €600. Go outside the center or choose Novi Sad instead, and prices fall further, often €400 or less. These aren't cramped spaces. These are full apartments, some with balconies, parquet floors, views of the river, or old town rooftops. Grocery shopping feels like an indulgence, not a burden. Fresh produce is cheap and local. A trip to the green market is an experience. You're not just picking vegetables, you're learning the rhythm of a new life. A full bag of fresh goods? Maybe €10. A night out at a restaurant? Two people can eat like royalty for €25. That includes drinks, dessert, and laughter that doesn't come with a bill-induced headache. Serbia's economy has faced its challenges, but what it offers now is opportunity without the price tag. Remote workers are welcome. English is widely spoken, especially among younger people. The country is steadily growing its tech sector, startup community, and freelance-friendly infrastructure. There are co-working spaces tucked into industrial lofts, rooftop cafes with Wi-Fi, and creative communities that are open, experimental, and welcoming. Weather plays along with your lifestyle. Summers are long and warm, with river beaches and shaded parks offering daily escapes. Autumn colors the city in rich ochres and reds. Winters are cold, but rarely brutal, and spring arrives early, bringing with it lilac trees and outdoor coffee culture that never seems to sleep. Safety is woven into the daily fabric of these cities. Yes, they're buzzing. Yes, they're awake late. But they're not dangerous. People walk at night. Children play outside. Crime is low, and neighbors talk to each other. There's a feeling here that the city belongs to its people. Not just the rich, not just the tourists, but everyone. Culture breathes through everything. Belgrade is a city of contradictions. Gritty but poetic, old but forward-facing. You'll find brutalist architecture beside Ottoman relics, street murals beside Orthodox churches, techno clubs under bridges, and symphony halls above bakeries. Novi Sad, by contrast, is softer with Austro-Hungarian facades, serene squares, and the famous Petrovaradin Fortress, the stage for the world-renowned Exit Music Festival. There's a literary undercurrent here, a passion for film, philosophy, resistance, and reinvention. You don't just observe art here, you live among it. And then there's the nature, often just a tram ride away. Belgrade sits where the Sava meets the Danube, two great rivers that frame your daily life. Kayaking, fishing, boat cafes, or long riverside strolls become part of the routine. In Novi Sad, vineyards roll out toward the hills, and the Fruška Gora National Park calls you for hikes, picnics, and silent Sundays. Serbia invites you to stay outside, to breathe, to roam. The food? Think flame-grilled meats, flaky pastries, rich cheeses, and soups that feel like medicine for the soul. Rakija, Serbia's iconic fruit brandy, will be offered to you with a smile. And yes, you'll eventually accept it at 10 a.m., because here, hospitality is ritual, not formality. People who move here speak of a freedom they didn't know they'd lost, a spontaneity that returns to their lives. There are still street musicians who don't need permits, still artists who don't care about algorithms, still neighbors who bring you fruit without asking your name. Serbia feels like a place where life happens, in real time, with real people. There's a rough beauty here, a wild elegance. Serbia doesn't polish its edges. It offers you depth instead, emotion, honesty, and for those willing to embrace it, it gives back something powerful, a sense of belonging that costs nothing and means everything. You won't find perfection here, but you'll find life. And in a world of curated moments and overpriced peace, that's rare enough to be priceless. 8. Regional Slovakia. You wake up to birdsong and the faint chime of distant church bells. The window is open, and a cool mountain breeze sweeps in, carrying the scent of pine and firewood. Outside, the street is lined with modest homes, most with flower boxes and grapevines curling over balconies. The hills beyond are turning gold as the sun rises. This isn't a holiday, it's your life now, and it only costs a fraction of what you thought life could. Welcome to regional Slovakia, the heart of Central Europe that most travelers never find, and most expats never want to leave once they do. Far from the capital of Bratislava, the real treasures lie in places like Banska Bystrica, Trenčín, Prešov, or Poprad. These towns aren't just affordable. They're grounded, real, unspoiled, and above all, peaceful. Here, a one-bedroom apartment in the city center may cost you just €400 to €500 per month. Choose a quieter neighborhood just a 10-minute walk away, and the price can drop even further. The buildings are solid, many with thick stone walls, wooden shutters, and character that makes you feel like you're living inside a European postcard. Utilities are modest. Internet is fast. And for two people, a €3,000 monthly budget doesn't just cover essentials. It opens doors. Groceries are refreshingly low cost. Local markets sell farm-fresh vegetables, honey, cheeses, and meats, much of it grown or raised just outside the city limits. With €50, you can fill your fridge. Eating out is a joy. Hearty Slovak cuisine, dumplings with sheep cheese, garlic soup in bread bowls, sweet crepes, roasted meats, is generous and often under 20 euros for two. Add drinks, and you'll still leave full and smiling. And then there's the feeling. It's hard to describe unless you've lived it. In regional Slovakia, you're not just saving money. You're saving your soul. The pace of life is slower. People greet each other in the streets. Neighbors become friends without effort. There's a rhythm to things, one shaped by seasons, not social media. The job market may not be booming, but for remote workers, creatives, early retirees, or anyone with a digital income, it's a dream. You get high quality of life, low cost of living, and uninterrupted time to focus. And if you're interested in teaching English or working with international NGOs, there are small but steady opportunities. Weather is deeply seasonal here, and stunningly so. Spring is soft and green. Summer brings fields of sunflowers, open-air markets, and cool nights in the mountains. Autumn is theatrical, a full blaze of red and orange that turns every walk into a painting. And winter is magic. Snow settles on castle rooftops and pine-covered hills. Ski towns wake up, fireplaces crackle, and your days feel like chapters in a novel. Safety is another quiet luxury. Violent crime is rare. People leave their doors unlocked. Children walk to school alone. It's the kind of place where you can walk home at midnight and hear nothing but your footsteps and the wind rustling leaves. There's something deeply comforting about that silence. Slovak culture is subtle but rich. Folk traditions live on, in music, in embroidery, in the way families gather for Sunday lunch. Castles, the landscape, often perched on hills you can hike to with ease. There's pride in history here, but not arrogance. People are kind, reserved at first, but generous once trust is earned. And if you take the time to learn a few Slovak phrases, you'll be surprised how quickly the doors open. Nature is never far. Even in mid-sized towns, the forests begin just a few minutes' walk from your door. The Tatra Mountains rise like guardians in the north, offering world-class hiking, skiing, and views that take your breath away. Lakes shimmer in the valleys. Vineyards blanket the hills in the south. Every weekend, you can pick a direction and discover a new village, a waterfall, a trail you didn't know existed. And then there's the small moments. The woman at the market who remembers your favorite cheese. The bakery that sets aside your loaf before you arrive. The quiet church that becomes your thinking place. The way snow falls like feathers when the town is asleep. This isn't a lifestyle filled with flash. It's not Instagram perfect. It's better. It's real. It's sustainable. And most importantly, it's yours. Regional Slovakia is for the couple who wants peace without isolation. For the writer who wants quiet without boredom. For the dreamer who wants beauty without debt. And in 2025, it's still one of the few places left in Europe where 3,000 euros a month means more than just scraping by. It means freedom. It means choice. It means waking up to birdsong and realizing you made the right move. 9. Western Ukraine. Close your eyes and imagine a place where the air smells like earth and honey, where sunflower fields stretch so far they kiss the horizon, and where the streets still hold the rhythm of old Europe. You wake up in a small apartment just outside the heart of the city like Lviv or Ivano-Frankivsk. Your morning begins not with traffic or sirens, but with the muffled footsteps of neighbors walking across creaky wooden floors and the sound of a distant train slicing through the fog. Western Ukraine is not what the headlines say. Not here, not this side. Here, life is slower, gentler, and far more affordable than most places left in Europe. And for two people living on 3,000 euros a month, it's not just doable, it's freeing. The cities of Western Ukraine carry an old-world charm that hasn't been overwritten by commercialization. Lviv, for example, feels like a living painting. With its Austrian-Hungarian architecture, cobbled streets, candlelit cafes, and the scent of clove and cinnamon drifting from every corner, it welcomes you with a kind of quiet confidence. It doesn't try to impress you. It just exists beautifully. Rent here will surprise you. A clean, fully furnished one-bedroom near the center can go for as little as 300 euros a month. That's not a typo. 300. Go a bit farther out, and you'll find cozy places for even less. Utilities and internet add less than 100 euros. A nice dinner for two, with drinks, soup, salad, and dessert, often comes in under 20 euros. Fresh produce markets operate daily, where 10 euro can fill your basket with fruits, vegetables, eggs, and handmade cheese. You start to ask yourself, why was I paying so much to survive when I could live like this? Work can be remote, and many here are doing just that. Lviv is home to one of Eastern Europe's fastest-growing IT hubs. Co-working spaces are opening inside old palaces and coffee houses. The younger generation is multilingual, globally aware, and forward-facing. But the soul of the region? That still belongs to the land, the family, and the traditions. And then there's the weather. Spring arrives like an orchestra. The smell of blooming chestnuts, the buzz of bees, the return of life after long winters. Summer is warm, but never oppressive. Autumn is a romantic sigh, misty mornings and golden leaves. Winter? Cold, yes, but also magical. Snow-covered rooftops, Christmas markets, hot mulled wine in your hands, and embroidered wool blankets around your shoulders. You don't endure the seasons here. You experience them. Safety? Western Ukraine has remained relatively insulated from conflict zones in the east. Cities like Lviv continue to function normally, with cafes full, students laughing in parks, and families going about their day-to-day lives. There's a deep sense of community and resilience here, the kind that makes you feel safe because you're surrounded by people who take care of each other. And culture? It's everywhere. Lviv alone is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Churches, theaters, museums, bookstores, jazz clubs, they're not luxury add-ons. They're part of daily life. And not just in the big cities. Even smaller towns like Ternopil and Chernivtsi host film festivals, open-air concerts, and art fairs that draw from the region's rich heritage of Ukrainian, Polish, Jewish, and Armenian roots. Step outside the city, and you're in nature's lap. Carpathian mountains to the west, wild rivers for rafting, wooden villages where time forgot to move forward. Forests so deep they feel untouched. Weekends here mean hiking to hilltop monasteries or soaking in mineral hot springs with snow on the ground. And the food. Oh, the food. There's something sacred about it. You find yourself in a family-run kitchen, the scent of garlic and dill rising from a bowl of steaming borscht. They offer you pampushki, little garlicky buns, and a shot of horilka with honey and spices. Every bite tastes like memory, like survival, like love passed down through generations. People move here for the prices, but they stay for the peace. They stay for the sunsets that light up cathedral domes, for the grandmothers selling homemade jam at street corners, for the kindness that doesn't announce itself, but shows up when you're lost and someone walks you all the way to your destination without being asked. Western Ukraine isn't flashy. It doesn't have the polish of Western Europe or the buzz of capital cities, but it offers something much more rare: authenticity. Heart. History that hasn't been scrubbed clean. A sense of home that wraps around you like an old coat. Here, with 3,000 euros a month, you don't just scrape by. You live. You explore. You feast. You learn a few Ukrainian phrases. You build friendships. You slow down enough to hear your own thoughts again. And in that stillness, you realize this might be one of the last places in Europe where you can start over with dignity, with soul, and without debt following you like a shadow. 10. Poland in smaller cities. Imagine this. You're in a town where time seems to move slower, not because it's behind, but because no one's rushing to escape. You wake to the quiet sound of a street cleaner brushing past cobblestones. You lean out the window, and the air smells of fresh bread and chimney smoke. It's chilly, but not unfriendly. A mother walks her child to school with a scarf wrapped tight around her neck. The cafe on the corner opens early. The same man with the newsboy cap is already seated at the window, sipping hot tea and nodding at you as if you've always lived here. This is life in Poland's smaller cities. Places you probably haven't heard of, but once you arrive, you'll wonder why no one ever told you about them. Places like Rzeszów, Lublin, Torunia, or Bielsko-Biała. They don't make global headlines, but they don't need to. These towns live in rhythm, not in reputation. And for a couple living on €3,000 a month, they offer something rare in 2025, breathing room. Rents are manageable. A one-bedroom apartment in the heart of town? About 400 to 550 euros. You could find something even cheaper just a few minutes away from the center. Groceries? Incredibly fair. A full shopping bag, bread, milk, eggs, apples, even some cured meats rarely breaks 25 euros. Utilities? Steady. Public transport? Efficient, clean, and less than a pizza night out. Dinner for two at a cozy Polish tavern with drinks and dessert? You're not leaving more than 25 euros lighter. It's not just livable. It's humane. These are not ghost towns. They're growing modestly with dignity. Young families stay. Remote workers arrive. Small international companies are opening support offices and co-working spaces. You'll meet digital nomads who came just for a month and stayed for a year. English is catching on, especially with the youth, and locals are often eager to practice it with a smile. The seasons here are honest. Winter carries snow. Quiet, storybook snow that turns rooftops white and wraps the city in silence. Spring arrives like a blessing, with tulips blooming beside old stone buildings. Summer brings warmth, open-air festivals, and backyard grilling. Autumn? It's golden. If you've never lived somewhere with real seasons before, you'll finally understand why people romanticize them. Safety? It's not just statistics, it's a feeling. You can walk home at night with your phone in your hand and your bag across your shoulder, and no one bats an eye. There's a calm here that costs nothing, but means everything. And the culture? Rich doesn't begin to cover it. Poland has known hardship. It has known war, invasion, rebuilding. And yet it stands with grace. You see it in the old women planting flowers outside their buildings. In the churches that ring bells each hour. In the food, humble, hearty, comforting. This is a place that remembers where it came from. And it makes space for you, too. Step outside the town, and you'll find something even more surprising. Space. Real space. Rivers. Rolling green hills. Thick forests that look like they haven't changed in centuries. Maybe you buy a secondhand bicycle. Maybe you don't, but you'll still find yourself outside more. Watching storks build nests. Walking trails that pass wooden chapels. Breathing deeper. Slower. And then there's the food experience. Picture yourself sitting inside a tiny pierogi house. The walls are dark wood. The air smells of butter, mushrooms, and dill. A woman with flour-dusted hands serves you a plate of steaming dumplings, some filled with sauerkraut, others with sweet cheese. You try meat for the first time. You laugh without meaning to. It tastes like nothing you've had before. That's when it hits you. You're not a tourist here. You live here now. This is home. People come for different reasons. Some are retirees tired of big city bills. Others are couples who want to raise their children somewhere with fresh air and honest people. Many come because they're just done with the noise, done with the race. And here, they find space to breathe, to reconnect, to begin again. Living in Poland's smaller cities doesn't feel like a compromise. It feels like a discovery, one that doesn't shout at you, but whispers gently every morning. Life can be beautiful. Life can be slow. Life can be yours again. So now you've seen it. 10 places across Europe where life slows down, opens up, and welcomes you in. Not with luxury, not with hype, but with honesty, with warmth, with a reminder that you don't need millions to live richly. You just need the right coordinates. Poland, with its quiet charm and storybook seasons. Western Ukraine, still beating with hope and history. Slovakia's slow hills and strong traditions. Serbia's electric pulse and wine-scented streets. Spain's inland heart, where life feels handmade. Bulgaria, where past and present walk side by side. The Czech Republic, grounded, safe, beautifully still. Cyprus, glowing gold with every sunrise. Albania, wild and generous and stunningly human. And Turkey, where continents meet and souls exhale. Each one different, each one alive, each one waiting for someone like you. This wasn't about fantasy. This wasn't about escaping reality. This was about finding a new one you can afford, one you can build. One you can love deeply, daily, fully. Because life doesn't have to cost more than you can give. Sometimes, all it takes is a choice, a shift, a plane ticket, and a little faith. A quiet morning in a place where no one knows your name. Yet. So here's the question. Which one spoke to you? Which sunrise felt like it belonged to you? Which streets, which flavors, which little apartment on a hill made you pause and say, maybe? Let us know in the comments. Where would you go first? And if you found even one moment in this video that made you dream, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to dream, too. Because next week, we'll be exploring the 10 dream cities to retire abroad, where the view costs less, but the peace is priceless. And we'd love to have you on that journey. Until then, stay curious, stay open, and remember, the world is still full of places where life is beautiful and affordable. You just have to go find them.